So, hello everyone, we're back with another vlog, especially with my classmate, which is my partner in this topic, the current trends and issues in materials development. So, the production of learning materials is one of the most difficult and neglected areas of the educational environment. Before we proceed to the contents, let us first know what are the learning outcomes. So the learning outcomes are the students will be able to know what are the current trends in material development. The students will be able to locate what are the problem or solution in developing materials. The students will become more wiser in using a particular materials. The students will be able to answer the questions given to them. Lastly, the students will gain knowledge about our topic. So, this is the pretest of our utilized output. Now, let's move to the contents. So, before we proceed to our content, which is the what are the materials, what is material development, why is materials important, or why is material development important, the negative and positive trends in material development. So, before we proceed to that, let us first know what is the current trends and issues in materials development according to Tomlinson. So, Miss Jacel, what is the current trends and issues in material development according to Tomlinson?
According to Tomlinson, 1998, he mentioned that very few books had been published on materials development. He added that materials development was insufficiently academic to be treated as a field in its own right, and that it was a subsection of methodology in which materials were usually introduced as examples of method in action rather than as a means to explore the principles and procedures of their development. Tomlinson succeeded in 1993 in forming MATSDA, which is the Materials Development Association. This is to bring togetherness teachers, researchers, materials writers, and publishers in a joint endeavor to stimulate and support principled research, innovation, development.
Now let's move to the next part, which is what are materials. So what are materials? Materials are anything which can be used to facilitate the learning language, including course books, videos, graded readers, flashcards, games, websites, and mobile phone interactions. They can be informative, informing the learners about the target language instructional, guiding the learning practicing the language. They can be experiential, providing the learner with experience of the language it used. Visiting, encouraging the learner to use the language, and exploratory, helping the learners to make discoveries about the language. Ideally, materials should be developed for learning rather than for teaching, and they should perform all the functions. So, next, what is materials development? So, Miss Angana, what is materials development?
Materials development is a practical undertaking involving the production, evaluation, adaptation, and exploitation of materials intended to facilitate language acquisition and development. Ideally, materials development practitioners and materials development researchers interact and inform each other through conferences, publication, and endeavors. Nowadays, there are many materials development experts who have considerate experience and expertise as teachers.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Angana. So next, why is materials development important? Why? Materials development is important because it is commonly accepted that in most language classrooms throughout the world, most lessons are still based on materials. So, instructional materials generally serve as the basis of much of the language input that learners receive and the language practice that occurs in the classroom. It is commonly accepted that most language teachers use course books and that no course book can meet the needs and wants of every or even any class. So this means that every teacher is a materials developer. So next, let us proceed to the negative trends in materials development, which should be read by Miss Angana. So Miss Angana, what are the negative trends in materials development?
So, there are 9 negative trends in materials development. First is more pronounced return of central grammar in language curriculum. Second, greater prominence in teaching of speaking and listening. Learners have short attention span. Learners do not gain if they are engaged in intellectually demanding activities. Fifth, neglect and the use of literature. 6. Prominence of analytical activities, absence of controversial issues. We underestimate our learners' focus in English as used by native speakers. So those are the 9 negative trends in materials development.
Let's move to the last but not the least contents of the current trends and issues in materials development topic, which is the positive trends in materials development. So the positive trends in materials development are materials should acquire learners to invest for them and discover how a certain vocabulary or experience in the target language should use in context. So number 2, more materials issued corpus reflected the language. Number 3, more extensive readers series that are created now with fewer linguistics constraints and more provocative content. Number 4, increasing attempt to gain effective engagement of the learners. Number 5, increase the use of internet, especially now. It is important to increase the use of internet because in the midst of the pandemic, like as of today, we use the internet as a source of information. So increasing the use of internet is good, but not to the point where we will neglect our own opinion. So number 6 rather, there is evidence of the movement of experience of spoken grammar. So in learning a grammar, your students or your pupils should be able to express their feelings, express their experiences, or share their ideas in order to gain from one another, because by sharing ideas can help the students to acquire it or can help the students to gain something from it. So what I've learned in these positive trends is that your materials should be more appealing, should be more catchy, contains lots of information or knowledgeable rather, in order for your materials to be effective. So yeah, that's all the contents, and let's proceed. So this is our learning activities. Learning activities A and B, what I have learned, and then assessment, glossary, informal essay rubrics. So that's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and thank you for watching. That's all for today's video, and bye bye.